fix my lipstick because I've been drinking. I've been drinking. Hi y'all. If you are a new viewer, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. My name is Amira, and today I have for you another new makeup releases, will I buy it, let's talk it over video. This video is gonna be a little different, guys, because I kind of want it all. I don't know if this is post no buy like withdrawal or if it's just that I really just want everything. But we're gonna discuss, we're gonna get into it, we're gonna look at the pictures, we're gonna go, do we really need this? Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. All right, so I'm gonna move over here so I can place the photos. All right, so gang, I have to say, I'm going to pull up Trend Mood and also my little saved. Actually, let me pull up my little saved folders because that's all the goodies that I've been looking at. I've gone through a journey over the last week or so with all of the new releases. There's so many that I want. Yeah, there's so many that I want. Let's start off by talking about one that I actually am thinking long and hard that I'm probably going to purchase. But I want you guys to discuss it with me. So let me know in the comments. What do you think? So Melt Cosmetics just came out with their, they originally had Gemiini, the original Gemiini, which was limited edition, and then they brought it back, and then they took it away, and it's been gone for a while, and everyone's been sort of pleading for them to bring it back. And they finally decided to bring it back permanently, and they brought it back with new packaging, which I'm low-key, high-key salty about because the new packaging is better than the old packaging, and I have the old packaging, and the lizard brain in me is like, should I just buy it to have the new packaging? But the evolved Amira is saying, no, Amira, that's stupid. But I'm not gonna lie, I thought about it because the new packaging is so pretty. It's so me, it's so me. Anyway, they also came out with Gemiini 2. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, no, absolutely not. No. And then the more I looked at it, I was like, well, maybe, but no. And that's still me. The more I look at it, the more I'm like, But I don't know, guys. It's a rosy tone palette. I don't own a lot of rosy tones besides the ones that I have from Pat McGrath, which are, I have to say, her rosy tones are more pink rosy, whereas the rosy tones that I'm seeing now, and there have been, I'm going to say this, there are a lot of rosy tone palettes that are being released right now. And the difference, the thing that's sort of catching my eye, that's sort of making me, you know, reevaluate my feelings about rosy tones, is that they're all kind of muted or brown based. They're not pink based. And I think that's what's catching me out, is that I'm enjoying the sort of brown based rosy tones, if that makes sense. So that is what's sort of catching my eye. The thing that's stopping me are actually the three sort of greeny brown tones at the end of the palette. The last three shades, because of the fact that I have the first Gemiini palette and I have a bunch of other greeny tones, and I'm just sort of like, I feel like they were trying to find a way to tie 1 and 2 together, whereas I wish they had just leaned into the rosy tones of Gemiini 2 and taken out the greens altogether. Because again, if you have one, you don't really need those, and they're selling these as a bundle, so you're sort of getting slight duplicates of each other in the palettes. That's my gripe with Gemiini 2. But I am considering getting it. I am considering it. You guys let me know in the comments below. Do you want to see a review of that palette? Do you want to see me do a comparison of Gemiini 1 and Gemiini 2, since I have the original Gemiini in the original packaging with the original formula? I think the formula, they didn't say the formula's changed, so I don't see how that would, you know, be a huge difference if you purchase it now versus, you know, the older palette. Let me know. Let me know, guys. Next up is another palette that I really want. and it is the new Artist Couture Supreme Mauves. I want it. I want it. I want it. I want it bad. I want it bad. Now, when I look at it, I think, okay, Amira, the first 2 rows are neutrals. Like, they're completely blah colors. There's nothing really that exciting about them. It's really that bottom row that's catching my eye, in that one shade, which is called Obscene. Okay. But it's those shades that are really catching my eye. The rest of the palette is not, it's not ugly. It's just, there's nothing to it really. You know, it's neutrals and a gold and like a champagne-y gold. So there's nothing that fantastical about it. It's really just that bottom row that's really catching my eye. And so for me, I'm kind of on the fence. Like, I think it's a beautiful palette, and I actually really love the Artist Couture formula. I have the Supreme Nudes. It's a beautiful palette. It is a palette that I would recommend if people are looking for, if you're looking for like a really well-rounded neutral palette that you can use day, evening, whenever, you know, you want a smoky eye, you want a natural day look, whatever you want, that palette can provide it. It's a really solid palette. So I know that the formula is probably going to be pretty darn good if they, you know, continue to use that formula. And then I look at they have some swatches on their like Instagram page where they show each shade. And when I see them like that, I'm like, oh, those are really pretty. But I'm noticing that I think there's a shade in here that is in Supreme Nudes. So I'm really curious to pull, what I'm gonna do is pull out my Supreme Nudes and really go shade by shade with the neutral tones to see, because one of these I think is actually a duplicate shade, like they've reused a shade. And if that's the case, then I'm kind of like, for $45, I really don't want duplicate shapes, you know? So we'll see. I'm gonna think on that. I'm gonna do some mulling over on that one. But it did catch my eye, and I am considering it. Next up is Colourpop came out with those 2 huge palettes. One of them I think was called, what's it called? Stone something? What was it called? It's the big one that's all cool tones. And then they came out with one that's like all warm tones. I was really considering the cool toned one, but I did not want all those shades. I did not. I was like, this is ridiculous. I don't need all of those. There was really sort of like 2 rows that were really catching my eye. The neutral, the more like warmer, slightly warmer toned palette also had some shades in it that really caught my eye. But again, I didn't want that giant palette. I didn't need it. Well, Colourpop has just come out with 2 10 shade palettes. One cool toned, one warm toned. One is called Twist of Slate, which is, I believe, I think that's the neutral one. Or the cool tone one. Yes, Twist of Slate is the cool tone one, and Set in Stone is the warm tone one. Why do I want both of these? Why? Is this my post no buy withdrawal / hangover? Like, is that what that is? Or is this smarter than like, this seems smart to me, and I'm still sort of figuring out why I think this is so smart. I think this is what perhaps they should have done instead of the large palettes. I think maybe this is a course correction of some kind, because I know a lot of people love those palettes. I think if you are someone who, you know, you don't buy a lot of makeup, you just want like one big palette and it has everything, those palettes are so smart. And I know like their Fade into Hue palette, I've been mulling that one over too, because it's one of those palettes that's just sort of like, it's got some great colorful staples, and so many people rave about it. I think those type of palettes are really great for people who maybe don't have a lot of money to spend on makeup or don't want to spend a lot of money on makeup. They can buy that one big palette and it just has everything. They don't care about color story. They don't care about like artistry in the sense of like packaging and all those things. They just want the colors. that I get. Whereas I feel like if you're looking for something a bit more curated, a little bit more thoughtful in the way that it's laid out, these two palettes kind of afford that. So I don't know, guys. Like I said, I'm really interested in these. I don't know if I'm going to purchase them. I'm thinking on it. I'm mulling it over. But I do think that coming out with smaller versions of those two large palettes was actually really smart for people like myself who don't want all of those shades, but still really enjoyed the idea behind them. Next up, I have these new Gucci liquid lipsticks. I love Gucci lipsticks. I'm wearing a Gucci lipstick now. This is the matte formula in the shade Tasty Hazel. I love this shade. It's like a velvety, muted chocolate brown. Their mattes are beautiful, very soft. They give that sort of velvety feel. Similar but not the same, not exactly the same, but similar to the Lisa Eldridge velvet lipsticks. I would say that this one is maybe a tad more emollient than those, but just by a little. So because I love the Gucci formula, I love their color range. Their lipstick color range is just chef's kiss, top notch. It's so sophisticated and curated and just, ugh, so beautiful. If I could collect all of the Gucci lipsticks, I probably would. Right now I only have 3. There's a couple more that I would purchase probably, but they're sort of on my, what I always call my back burner wish list. They're those things that you plan on eventually purchasing, but you know you don't really need to do now. You don't need them now. That's kind of how the Gucci lipsticks are for me. Like I have the 3 colors that I really love. I have Penny Beige, Susan Nude, and Tasty Hazel. And then I also have one of their little, those thin, the like skinny glossy lipsticks. I have one of those. So these caught my eye because of the fact that I love Gucci lip products. The thing that's holding me back is the fact that they're liquid lipsticks. I don't dislike liquid lipsticks. I'm just very picky about liquid lipsticks, and I'm very reticent to spend $42 on a liquid lipstick formula that I've never tried before. That's a lot of money. Gucci lipsticks are expensive. Gucci is expensive. Gucci makeup is insanely expensive. It's one of the reasons why I'm not like collecting all of the shades, because they're $42 a pop. It's a lot of money. So I just don't know if I have the adventurous spirit needed to try these lipsticks right now. But the color range is so it's so pretty. That super bright red on the end, and then like I know that these are probably liquid versions of some of their classic shades like Agatha Orange and Gucci Red and things like that. So that makes me really curious. But yeah, I think this is something that I'll eventually try, but I'm not in a rush to try right now because of the price point and the fact that I need to see, you know what I need to see? I need to see someone else try. I want someone else to try these and report back to me. And then maybe I'll consider purchasing one, but I don't want to be a pioneer. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about those. Next up is actually some fragrances, and these are 2 fragrances that have been released by Jo Malone London. They have released these beautiful, the bottles, like the aesthetic. There's 2 that I want. I want the Bitter Mandarin, and I want the Sakura Cherry Blossom. The notes of the Sakura Cherry Blossom, and if you've seen my perfume video, and if you haven't, watch it. I'll leave a link for it either in a card or down below. I love bergamot, and one of the top notes in this Sakura Cherry Blossom is bergamot, cherry blossom, and rosewood. And I've been on a rose kick lately as well, and I'm just here for it. They have 2 sizes, the mini, which is 75, and the full size, which is 145. Same goes for the Bitter Mandarin, which the Bitter Mandarin sounds like such a great summer fragrance. Just like a zesty, they describe it on their Instagram as a zesty citrus, capturing a Mediterranean evening. Doesn't that sound lovely? It sounds lovely. These 2 are like on my list. I don't know. I feel like I want to take a trip somewhere, like to a store, and see if I can smell them. And then I blind buy perfume all the time. Usually if I know the notes, I'll do that. The Sakura one, I want to smell only because I hope it's not too sweet. The bitter mandarin I want to smell because the last time I bought an orange fragrance, orange scented fragrance or citrus scented fragrance from Jo Malone, I actually wound up returning it because the citrus was actually quite faint. The other notes kind of overtook it. So I just want to make sure that this is like an actual like bitter mandarin, citrusy, delicious fragrance, you know? Next up is and I'm a little late on this, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because I want to. The Pat McGrath Bridgerton 2 collection. I have no interest in the palette. The palette to me is, I've seen reviews of it, I've seen swatches, I've seen comparisons, and while it's not exactly like the first one, it's close enough. The first one I wasn't that like blown away by, not as far as formula, just color story. I didn't find it very inspired or inspiring. I have it. I might, honestly, I was thinking about it the other day, that might actually wind up being the first Pat McGrath palette I wind up decluttering because it's just not something that I feel the need to reach for again. But the thing that caught my eye, friends, are the lipsticks because she has a new formula. Now, she had her Luxe Trans formula, which I loved. Someone was talking about like the other day that that formula wasn't well loved, and I was like, excuse me? I loved that formula. But apparently that's one of the reasons why she discontinued it, and I guess she decided to take them away, reformulate. But she's coming out with this new one that's called the Satin Allure lipsticks, and she is releasing that formula right now for this collab. And she's got some nudie tones in this formula that she does not have in her permanent range. Guys, I want all of the nudie tones. Like there is Venetian Peach, Negligee, Nude Romantique 2 has really caught my eye. It's described as a cool neutral pink nude. Oh, Negligee looks beautiful. Venusian Light Peachy Nude. Venusian Peach, Light Peachy Nude. I'm here for it. So these I'm quite interested in, and I didn't purchase them when they went live because I was still on my no buy at that time. If she has a sale, I might pick them up. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be on during the Sephora sale. The Sephora sale is still going on. It's going on to the 11th, so I don't know if these are going to be dropping on Sephora then. I know that they are on the app and they're saying in stock soon or coming soon. Who knows what that actually is. But I really would like to pick up maybe one or two of these because I want to try the new formula and see if it's just as good as the Luxe Trans, just because I love that formula so much. But also these shades are just so lovely. So lovely. I've heard the packaging isn't as nice. I mean, they're cute, but I hear that the packaging just isn't as luxe as her normal packaging, but I'm not surprised by that. With these collabs, a lot of the times I think people often forget that with a collab, the profits have to be split. And so what winds up happening is that the brand will cut corners in other ways to offset the costs. So it's not shocking to me that the packaging for this isn't quite as luxe as, you know, her normal packaging. I'm not surprised by that. Is it a bummer? Yeah, but it's just the reality of business. So I'm not really like torn up about it, you know? Next up, I have an item that I actually purchased, guys. I'm talking about it here, but I already bought it. And it is the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2 Rose Eyeshadow Palette. Yes, I bought this. I bought it. Now, if you have been watching my channel for a while, I did a video a while back last year called all of the older palettes that I still want. And on that list, in that video, I mentioned the original Major Dimension palette. I talked myself out of it a bunch of times. I've put it in my cart and not purchased it, but it's one of those palettes that's always sold out anyway. And so oftentimes when I would be ready to bite the bullet, it would be out of stock, and then I'd be like, okay, that's a sign. I don't need it. I don't need it. Well, this little baby, She dropped during the Sephora sale, y'all. She dropped as I was purchasing my items. And I said, well then, hello friend. And I added it to my cart. And so it is on its way to me. And I will be doing a review for you guys, but I'm so excited for this palette. And I just watched Lauren Mae Beauty's review of this palette. I'm not one of those people who's like, I can't watch anyone else's review because I don't want it to taint. I want to know what they think, because I'm pretty good about knowing what my preferences and my tastes are. I don't have a problem watching other people give their opinions. It doesn't usually color how I feel about a particular product, generally speaking. But I was curious because I know that she has mixed feelings about the original Major Dimension palette, and she did a great comparison of the two, and seeing them side by side made me more excited for this one, because I actually think I prefer the tones of this one more than the original, which I was shocked by, because again, I'm not a rosy toned person. I tend to like, if I'm going to go for a neutral, I want a neutral. But what I like about this is if there's just a bit more dimension. Pun intended. But no, seriously, there's actually more. There just seems like a little bit more going on. When I saw Major Dimension laid out and swatched out on her arm with the rose palette above it, it made me realize how samey the original one was. It might just be it could just be in swatches. It feels that way on the eye. It won't feel that way. I don't know. But seeing them side by side like that made me very happy with my decision to purchase that one. Granted, the other one was out of stock, because I did have that thought. My lizard brain did think, maybe purchase both and compare the two. I had that thought, guys. But it was out of stock, so it didn't happen. But I'm kind of glad, because I think I'm happy with just getting this one, and I think I'll enjoy it a little bit more. I'm really interested. The two cream shadows, the tones of those are prettier to me than the ones in the original. I'm very excited to try this. So yes, that is one of the things that was not on my Sephora loves, because I didn't know about it. I didn't even know a new Patrick Ta palette was dropping. It dropped and I was like, oh my God. So yeah, so this is on its way to me. I have purchased this. Next up are the new M Cosmetics limited edition Heirloom Heaven's Glow Radiant Veil blushes. Now, I have been wanting to try M Cosmetics for a while, but it's one of those brands that I always go to like purchase and then I talk myself out of. But I have been wanting that Faded Clementine blush, the actual powder version, I feel like since time immemorial. Like, I feel like that has been on my back burner wish list forever. And I still really, really want it. But I'm looking at this orange one here, and what's it called? It's called Persimmon. It's so pretty. That I'm kind of like, should I get that one instead, or should I get Faded Clementine? I feel like Faded Clementine looks a tad more wearable than Persimmon. Persimmon is like orange, whereas Faded Clementine is like orange, but it's got some like mutedness to it that kind of makes it a bit more wearable. But yeah, I'm deciding if I'm either going to get Persimmon or Faded Clementine. I really am curious about the M Cosmetics blush formula. Whenever I see people applying that particular shade, I'm always like, oh, it's so pretty. So yeah, I want to try that. It makes my heart sing whenever I see it. I think it's such a pretty shade. But that one is as well. And if I weren't so in love with Faded Clementine, I would probably just get this one. But I'm worried that this one being so orange, I'm not going to wear it as much. You know, and they're $34 each. M Cosmetics is not cheap. So I feel like for $34, I would want to get a shade that's more wearable. You know, a shade that I would get more use out of. That's me talking myself out of that purchase and getting the other one in real time. Yay me. All right, next up are these two products, and these aren't new, but I'm bringing them up here because I'm thinking of doing a video with these, because I'm super curious to compare them to the first product I ever reviewed on my channel, which were the Danessa Myricks Infinite Chrome Flakes. And I did not give those like a fantastic review. And I did an update about them. I'm still like about them, But this brand called Shall We Makeup has their own version of these flakes, and they are, I think they're called Forest Journey Multi-Chrome Flakes Gel, and they come in five colors, excuse me, 5 colors. And I am thinking of getting the shade Burning Inside. It is a beautiful like pink to purple multi-chrome shift that is calling my name. And it's very similar in formulation to the Danessa Myricks. I am really thinking of purchasing these and just doing a little comparison. I really want to see if it's the nature of that type of product or if it was just the Danessa Myricks ones that I did not enjoy, because I love the idea of these types of products and I love the texture that they can create on the eye. Yeah, I'm curious. So I'm thinking I might eventually pick one of those up. And then lastly, I have this is another item that came out a while ago, but I'm talking about it now because, well, I want to. Yeah. It is from Cosette Beauty. It is their Crystal Cream Eyeshadow Palette. These are all metallic. Some of them are slightly duochrome cream eyeshadows in palette form. And the shades are stunning. I want to try this. I think this is such a cool idea. I think it's a great way to, you know, sometimes with cream shadows, if you're not someone who uses them a ton, but you find one that you like and you buy it, but because it's in this other type of packaging, it's not in with your palettes, you just kind of forget about it. It's sort of, out of sight, out of mind. Like, I have my makeup set up now where all of my cream shadows are out, so I can really see them. But I love the idea of a cream eyeshadow palette, and I love that they created such gorgeous tones that you can really, it's like a really great companion palette, and I'm curious about the shades, I'm curious about the formula, all of it. This is like one of those things that I saw and I actually got genuinely excited about, which doesn't really happen. If you're a makeup person, you know that getting excited about, like really getting excited about makeup is a rarity because you've seen it all at this point. Oh, one last thing I want to talk about is the new Colourpop Beauty, what do they call it? The Daydream paint palette. So Colourpop Beauty has now released their Art Nouveau. They're now into the Art Nouveau phase of their aesthetic journey, which I'm here for. The cover of the Art Nouveau palette is Gustav Klimt, which is one of my all-time favorite artists. But it's basically a rainbow palette. I'm not that interested in the colors. I feel like I get where they were going with it, but for me, it's too bright, especially for Gustav Klimt. Like, Gustav Klimt did color, but it was a bit more muted. So I think if they had done these tones, but just turned them down like half a notch, I would probably have been really excited about it. But the thing that did really excite me is the liner palette. The liner palette, the Daydream paint palette, and I believe it's water activated liners. I've been in the market, and I said, even when I was on my no-buy, I said when I got off my no-buy, I wanted to really look into buying some water activated liners because I really want to learn how to use them and how to work with them. It's a medium I have never used before, and yeah, I'm just curious to see. I love doing graphic liners. I do graphic liner a lot on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, please do. I will try to remember to put, well, I usually in my description box, if you ever want to know my Instagram, if you ever want to know what's on my face, all of those things are down in the description box below. But on my Instagram is sort of where I do a lot of my playing with makeup and really experimenting and taking pictures and all of that jazz. And I love doing graphic liner looks, but I've never used water activated liner. And I hear that it's much easier to use than, like, traditional liners, liquid liners, and you can just, it seems like a bit more of a more versatile medium to use. So I'm really interested in trying some, and this particular palette of shades has really caught my eye. I think it's really, really pretty. So that is on my yeah, I want to buy it list. Well, that is my will I buy it new makeup releases, kind of want to buy it all video. Like I said, guys, I don't know. I don't talk about every single release that comes out. I feel like I'd be here forever. For me, when I do these videos, I like talking about things that have caught my eye for whatever reason. It just makes it easier to curate, and also it's what I'm more interested in talking about. But these particular items are all things that I'm just sort of like, yeah, I could see giving my money up for that, because I really, really could. And so I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's my post no buy hangover. Who's to know? Am I buying all of these things? I don't know. You'll have to keep watching to find out. It'll be a surprise to us both. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, and if you are not subscribed, please subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye now.